Watch this.
37% of teenage girls between 13 and 15 were exposed to unwanted nudity in a week on Instagram. You knew about it. Who did you fire?
Senator, this is why we're building all.
Who did you fire?
Tools. Senator, I don't think that's.
You didn't take any significant action.
It's appropriate to talk about.
Do you know who's sitting behind you? You've got families from across the nation whose children are either severely harmed or gone, and you don't think it's appropriate to talk about steps that you took? Have you compensated any of the victims?
Sorry?
Have you compensated any of the victims?
I don't believe so.
Why not? Don't you think they deserve some compensation for what your platform has done?
Senator, our job and what we take seriously is making sure that we build industry-leading tools, find harmful
to make
content,
money,
take it off the services,
to make money,
and to build tools.
Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well,
they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims?
After I watched that video, I went to the comment section, and the first comment that I read said, asking the knife manufacturer for compensation for a stabbing. Now, after a lengthy reading and reasoning of these comments, I took to two sides. The first side was, I was on the side of the manufacturer. For example, knife has other purposes like cutting vegetables, etc. But what do you think nudity is made for? And then the same guy who wrote that comment said, I don't think Mark makes nudity. Mark made the platform, hence the knife. And then another person commented and said, the platform literally shows them nudity to keep them hooked on the platform. The company knows what they are doing and they are guilty. And it went on back and forth. And I once again took to two sides. I took the side of the manufacturer of the knife, and I took the side of the manufacturer of the knife being Mark Zuckerberg, and then I took to the parent side who lost their children. Now, if it went like this, if nudity was the first thing that those children saw once they made an account on Instagram, then Mark Zuckerberg is at fault. And you see, the more you see something that you want on any platform, the more the algorithm is going to give you of something that you want. So if children saw this on Instagram and they continued to watch more nudity on the platform, hence getting suicidal thoughts, and I am not so sure how those two things are connected. For me personally, I do not have such insecurities. Not to say that I do not have any insecurities, but I still don't see the connection. You can enlighten me in the comment section down below. But to say the truth, it's partly, from my perspective, it's partly on the manufacturer's fault and on the parents' fault, because they're the people who are closest to the children who off to themselves for seeing nudity on Instagram. Okay, so it goes both ways, because you see, nobody forced them to make an account on Instagram. Nobody forced them to feel insecure about themselves. So it's not 100% Mark Zuckerberg's fault, but at the same time, it's partly his fault for letting such, videos and pictures to be on the platform. Yeah, so it's not entirely his fault, but part of it is his fault, if you get my drift. That is from my point of view though. Now, let's watch the second video. This one was quite hilarious. It's not as serious as the first one.
So a couple of weeks ago, a guy approached me. Of course, I did what all girls do. Assumed he was a sexually charged pig, screamed, "I have a boyfriend!" before he could even get a word out, rolled my eyes, threatened to call the cops, and immediately relocated to a different spot in the coffee shop just so I could post a TikTok about it. Kidding. Here's how I actually handled it. I could sense this man's anxiety instantly, so I knew that there was romantic intent. But I entertained it how I would entertain any normal conversation. I let him introduce himself, I introduced myself, and made some brief small talk. It wasn't hard to establish very early on that I lived nearby with my boyfriend without without ruining the conversation and his day. And maybe now this man won't be so nervous to approach other women. You might ask why I entertain a conversation with this guy if I have a boyfriend. Well, it's because I'm not a hypocrite. If I was single, I would hate it if women in relationships were being rude to single men because it would make them less likely to approach me. I'm not going to be part of the reason why men don't want to approach women anymore. If we want the modern dating world to change for the better, we as women have a duty to make these initial interactions that are already very intimidating for men as unintimidating as possible.
Now, on that video, if a chick reacts the way she reacted in her example, like, get away from me, you sexually whatever, and you are a guy just like me, when she acts like that, she showed her true colors. So she's doing you a favor by showing you that she's a red flag. So don't feel bad that she acted like that. Just know you've saved yourself from a pretty red flag. Okay, so don't concern yourself with feeling bad or demoralized after such an encounter. Okay, all you need to do next time is try to, well, what can you improve on in that situation? Well, what you can improve on is don't let yourself get demoralized. Now, one more comment about romance. Just like everything else, nothing comes easy in life. Okay, so finding a supposed partner that you're going to spend your life with, if that's your intent, is not going to be easy. So don't expect it to be easy. People come in very many different shapes, form, and sizes, and there are a lot of characters out there that are just not for you, to say the truth. So until you find the one, if you're ever going to find them, because I believe there's no such thing as the one. It's just that people who are successful at relationship work at them so that they can be compatible, because they worked at the relationship. If you find if you're struggling to find the one, just remember that nothing comes easy, just the same as romance. That's the point I was trying to put across. Yeah, and once you find someone who you think is you are the one, or the one that you are searching for, remember that the relationship itself is not also going to be easy. You're going to go through bumps and everything. So everything needs effort. That's my point. Okay, and a lot of effort. Sometimes you're going to put in blood, sweat, and tears just to keep it alive. But remember this, before you progress, not everyone is for you. So do not put more effort than the other partner of yours. In short, don't waste your time trying to change somebody else's mind, trying to make somebody else fall for you. Yes, it's about you to put in effort. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. So if the other person is not doing as much as you, you might consider to break it off. Yeah. Hopefully you learned something. You're welcome.